Welcome to another episode of SEO B.S, baby. This is Chad Napier, by the way. In this episode, we're going to talk about what do marketing agencies don't want to tell you. What are they hiding? What's the big secret? In this episode, we're going to let the cat out of the bag, baby. What the marketing agencies don't want to tell you. Now, we're going to hit right to the road. We're going to cracking. I'm going to let that secret right out right now. Now, what is it? Now, when you hire a marketing agency, you would hope that the person handling your business would be a entrepreneur themselves, worked in startups, doing merger and acquisitions, built departments, built accounts, and all this stuff. Most of the time, the answer is a 100% no. Most of the time, who's working on your stuff are interns. Okay, this is pretty popular in marketing agencies. It's pretty popular in marketing departments and companies. Okay, they hire a lot of interns. Interns end up floating inside the marketing department. On top of that, you usually get someone with 1 or 2 years of experience. Yes, they know the semantics. Yes, they know how to set up an ad or Facebook ads and Google ads and stuff like that. But, that's where their experience ends. They're not working from experience. They're just literally working from the semantics of being tech savvy. But of course, when you build a company, you need to be a little bit more than just tech savvy. So, let's get rocking and rolling. What's the big word here? What aren't they telling you? Okay, there's a lot they're not telling you, but in this training, it's one word. It's sales. Okay, when you think about it this way, when you build a company, when you build a startup, you build a startup from scratch, and I'm talking about a traditional company. You have a company, you have an in-house, you have walk-in customers. You have walk-in customers, plus you have a digital side to it too. They can order online, they can come in and meet you, and so forth and so forth. They can come in and check out the product, so forth and so forth. So, in my experience, I can only talk from my experience and, working with other clients, working with other people, being involved with business and accounts and departments myself, that when you're building momentum, okay, as a startup, okay, most of the time, unless you're with a huge brand or a huge company that has big investors, even though it's a startup, they have big investors, so they're not using their own money, they might have a marketing department right away. They might have a digital marketing department right away. They might have an SEO person right away. But that's not the case in most scenarios. That's not the case with most companies. Okay, now what do? It's sales. Okay, back in my experience, when we built startups, okay, the first 3 or 4 months, all we would be focused on is sales. Going out and about, getting involved with the community, building connections, getting involved with Chamber of Commerce, getting involved with our hobbies and so forth, and even old-fashioned recruiting. The biggest thing when you start thinking about sales, if you have a new company, well, that's the perfect opportunity for you to get involved with your community and say, hey, I'm new here. We just launched our business. Our business does blah, 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 blah. Let me know if you know anybody. Just getting the word around. It doesn't have to be super scripted, okay? It doesn't have to be super like, that sales, swabby or whatever. It just has to be natural. And that's what we would do for 3-4 months. I mean, I know from experience, working in sales, building companies and building departments and building accounts and building startups, it usually takes around 3-4 months to build momentum. Okay, that's not saying that's not saying you won't make a sale here and there, but to really build some strong momentum, it usually takes around 3-4 months. Okay, because people have to trust you. People, you're building trust and authority with people. People have to get to know you, and that's standard marketing, standard sales. That people have to see you and know about you. 7, 6, 7, 8, 9 times before they feel comfortable with you. And of course, personality. You want to blend personalities with different sales. But I don't want to get off track here. Okay, how does sales relate to marketing? Why are they holding this back? Because marketing agencies do the same thing. Okay, so what happens is when you come down here to marketing agencies, I'll just abbreviate it a little bit. Okay, this is what I noticed with marketing agencies. Now, I'm kind of leaving out A-list agencies. What I mean by A-list agencies, this is, in my opinion, are real agencies. But their clientele, their lowest clientele might be 10 grand a month. Okay. Usually the A-list agencies don't really, their niche market are huge brands. Okay. They're not messing with a small business because small businesses can't afford them. Okay. That's just the truth. But marketing agencies, one of the things I noticed when I started going into marketing agencies, especially marketing agencies, their niche market is small business, is they weren't even doing digital marketing for their own agency. They weren't even doing their own SEO for their own agency. I would go in as an SEO director, sometimes as the digital marketing manager, digital marketing director, VP, and they're not even practicing what they preach. I mean, it kind of sounds kind of weird. Okay, now they might argue with me, but they don't want me to say this kind of stuff, but they're not practicing what they preach. Okay. Now, what did they do? Okay. What they did was, all they do is sales. So when they launched their marketing agency, they did the exact same thing I'm telling you. They focused on sales. Okay, no matter if it was a handful of people, a handful of friends, a handful of family members that came together to build an agency. Okay, these handful of people went around and focused on sales, focused on recruiting, focused on getting involved with the community, focused on getting involved with the Chamber of Commerce, and ran around and just did old-fashioned recruiting and old-fashioned sales. That's what they focused on. They didn't focus on digital marketing. Okay. Yes, maybe they put a website up and stuff like that. They didn't focus on SEO because they couldn't afford to hire anybody to do their own SEO. Okay. Then when they actually got clientele, okay, they start trying to do a really good job for clientele. That way they get referrals, and it's a vicious cycle. So no matter when I go into an agency, this is the main thing I see right here is sales. They focus on sales. Okay. The whole presence of an agency is sales. Okay, you're the client. Well, you have to understand that you're the client and they're selling you. Okay, even if you think about reports. Agencies love reports. Even when you go into corporation, they're so brainwashed that I want fancy reports. Chad, I want all these reports. They want something cute and pretty on a paper that makes it look or appear like you've done something, but you didn't really do anything. That's what I think about reports. Okay. Most reports are a waste of time in both areas, corporate and in agencies. Okay, when you think about weekly reports, when you think about SEO audits, okay, when you think about bi-weekly reports, when you think about monthly reports, okay, it really depends upon what type of client you are. I mean, if you're basically a pain in the ass client, and what I mean by that, you're micromanaging them, which, by the way, I would tell you, you have to micromanage an agency, okay? So don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. You have to, or they're not going to do anything for you. Okay, if you really micromanage the agency, 100% guaranteed, they're going to do weekly reports with you. 100%, because you want to know what the hell they're doing. Okay, if you're not pushing it too much, they might do a bi-weekly report with you, or at least bare minimum, they're going to do a monthly report with you. Okay, to kind of basically to show you what they're doing and so forth and so forth. All these reports, most of the time, usually they're make their own through PowerPoint, whatever. They're blended with Google Analytics, Google Search Console. They're blended with the SEO tools they're using like SEMrush and Raven or SpyFu or something like that. These tools are really report friendly. They do awesome reports, but it's more, to me, in my opinion, it's more flash. Okay, because remember down here, what are they trying to do? Down here, it's the same thing. All they're doing is selling you. They're selling you, again, with all these reports. Why? Because they want you to pay every single month. So if you're paying them $1,500 or $2,000 a month, well, one, they kind of want to slow you along, inch you along, dangle a carrot in front of your face. Okay, but they want you to pay every single month. That's what they want you to do. So they're selling you every month. So again, they're not practicing what they're preaching. When they're training you and they're doing your digital marketing, they're doing your so-called SEO. Well, they're not even practicing what they preach, because most of the time they don't have anybody there experienced enough to really even do their own stuff, or they don't want to invest in it themselves. You know, it kind of sounds weird. If you really believe in digital marketing, you really believe in SEO, why aren't you doing it for your own company? Okay, kind of seems weird to me. But let's go on the other side. Now, on the other side is, you know, I've already kind of basically explained it. Let the cat out of the bag here, pop the balloon. It's really sales, but it's really a sales position. Okay, it's really being a salesman or a saleswoman. Okay, and what happens is this kind of floats around, and what I mean by it floats around, when you look at agencies and you look at SEO and you look at organic traffic, what happens is it pretty much rolls around to organic traffic. So it does help your SEO. It does help your organic traffic. Remember, you know, SEO is how do people find you organically? How do people find you online organically without paying paid ads and doing all this stuff? Okay, but how does this happen? Okay, when you're focused on sales in a sales position, okay, they have saleswomen running around pushing sales. How does it flip around and be organic traffic? Okay, so once you build up, remember, once you build up momentum, okay, with your sales staff, or even if, you know, the CEO, COO, VPs, they're all salesmen because they're the ones that were first in the company themselves. So they're the ones that built that momentum. But how does it flip around? Thinking about it this way, is that when you're running around building connections, you get involved. This is old school marketing. You get involved with a community. You get involved with the Chamber of Commerce. You know, when festivals are, festivities are, you know, when if they're holding, you know, monthly gatherings in different areas, you get involved with your hobbies and people know you. People will just organically ask you, what do you do for a living? Then you have a little pitch on what you do, or you have a little pitch, hey, you know, we're new. I mean, I'm new here, new to the area. We just launched a new company. It's called blah, blah, blah. This is what we do. You know, here's my business card, or if you know anybody, let me know. So your word by mouth, that's what you're doing, and that's what you're focused on doing. Okay. So in the very beginning, it's word by mouth. But what do people do when you tell them they like you, you seem cool? What do people naturally do? Well, from here, they go down and they visit your website. Okay, nowadays everybody has a website. Every business has a website. So 100%, they're at least going to come down here and they're going to visit your website. Okay, so now all of a sudden you have salesmen running around for you, or you're doing it yourself. There's a few of you doing it. Why? To build momentum for your business. And then you do it enough, then people start coming down here organically and going online and checking out your business and going online, pulling up your website. That's organic traffic. They're not doing it from an ad. They're sitting down on a search engine, okay, and they're typing in your company and they're searching for it. That's considered organic traffic. That's one area of content strategy, okay, when we look at content strategy. I mean, this is a content strategy that most people don't want to do if you want to be lazy, because they're like, well, I don't like to talk to people. I like to hide behind a computer and so forth and so forth. Unless your company is just 100% digital, a digital product, you still want to do this. Okay, this is what companies are doing, but they're not. This is the secret. They tell you they're not doing it, but let me tell you from experience, this is what they're doing. This is exactly what marketing agencies are doing. That's why they're not doing their own digital marketing, their own SEO and so forth. Yes, they need it, but they're neglecting it because they built momentum by sales. Once they've built momentum, you know, they usually have a very lean staff. They have a very lean staff, and they're too busy with their clientele to try to practice what they preach. Okay. Then on top of it, Even though they're telling you that digital marketing is king, SEO is king, but yet they don't even hire their own SEO person to do their own SEO. Now, yes, usually when I come in as an SEO director, one of the things they say, well, Chad, we want you to do our SEO too, but that's kind of on the back. First, you have to take care of the clients, but there's never enough time. Okay, there's really not enough time because they don't have enough staff to handle it, and that's a whole nother topic. But this is what I want to share with you. This is what marketing agencies don't want to tell you. It's old school sales. That's how you build momentum. Okay, it still exists today. This is what these big brands are doing. And another example, I'll give you one more example and I'm going to let you go here, is a company that I just came from. This is exactly what they did. It was a handful of family members. I won't tell you the industry to kind of be confidential. It's a handful of family members. They all came together and they just focused on sales. Spreading the word, spreading momentum, whatever. They built up strong momentum just doing sales, word by mouth, getting involved in the community, and so forth and so forth. And they built it up until they were making about 10 million a year. Then they flipped around and then they started building their own marketing department, doing digital marketing for themselves. Then that's kind of when I came on board with their SEO. But again, they already had strong momentum. Okay. Then their website actually had, it wasn't fantastic ranking or anything. It was kind of mediocre ranking, but they actually had ranking all from sales, all from just word of mouth, all from their industry and their niche market. Okay, visiting their website. Then once they built momentum, they started a sales team. Now they were paying out commissions to their sales team, and the sales team was doing the same thing. So this is one area of content strategy that's not really shared anymore, but companies, big brands, do it. Startups, you have to do this in a startup. You have to, okay? You can't only depend on digital marketing and SEO, okay? Now, you can, this is my if, you can depend on digital marketing and SEO in the very beginning, but what you have to understand is if you don't have the budget to run ads, what you have to understand is it's going to take a little longer. SEO works, I'm a firm believer in that, but it takes a little longer to build momentum rather than just the old-fashioned way of talking to people. That's the whole secret, my friends. But other than that, my friends, I'll see you in the next episode of SEO B.S.